What's up, everyone? This is Vintage Pokemon TCG, and I'm coming at you with a game I played yesterday in the 2004 format with a friend of mine. I'm playing my Wailord deck, which is mostly about, you have this Wailord EX. He's got 200 HP. He's really hard to knock out, and yeah, you just sort of tank with him, and then you use Blossom to heal him, and Super Deep Dive into Fossils, and you just buy time. And it's very hard to deal with. And my opponent is playing a Sceptile Mucky X deck, which revolves around getting a bunch of grass energies into play and then using Sceptile's energy trance to move them around. And so one of the things I realized in this game is that Wailord is weak to grass, and Sceptile EX has an attack that does 100 damage, and so it can knock out Wailord in one hit. And so I was kind of looking for an inventive way to play the game. And so you see here I have a pretty good hand. I've got a couple energies. I can get a Blossom out pretty early. I don't have much else going on. I don't have a supporter or any way to get more cards. But I get Desert Shaman here. So there you go. And in this point in the game, I'm mostly trying to get a Blossom set up. I'm trying to get a Wailord set up. I'm just trying to start doing what my deck is supposed to do. Wailord needs 4 energies to attack. It takes a lot of time. Thankfully, in 2004, decks take a long time to set up, and so you had plenty of time to do the things that you need to do. Right, and so here we see I've got my Root Fossil. He attacked me for 20 damage with Slash, but my Root Fossil has a Pokebody that heals itself by 10 damage in between turns, so it's not actually going to do anything, right? And so here he gets his Sceptile out, and I start reading it, and I'm like, oh crap, this could be bad. And he knocks out my Fossil. You don't get a prize card for knocking out a Fossil. That's one of the things that made this deck pretty good. So I'm reading the Sceptile, and it's like, oh crap. Is my Wailord weak to grass? My Wailord might be weak to grass. That could be really bad. And so I'm like, okay, so how do we want to approach this? And so I have this Oddish in my hand. I recently upped the Blossom line. I was just playing 2-2-2, but I decided I wanted to add a Vileplume EX. So now I'm playing 3-3-2 and then 1 Vileplume EX. And then I have 2 Grass Energy and 1 Multi-Energy. So that gives this deck, a little bit more flexibility. And then the other cool thing that I play is I play a 1-1 line of, what's it called, of Cradily. And that evolves from Root Fossil. I play 4 Root Fossil just as part of the strategy of the deck. And then, I play 1 Lileep and 1 Cradily. And Cradily is pretty cool. It has a Pokebody that prevents your opponent's active Pokemon from retreating as long as it's in the active spot. And then it has an attack for 1 energy. You get to pull something up from your opponent's bench, and you poison it, right? And so I was thinking this game, I can't use Wailord, so my strategy is going to be very much based on using Blossom and then using Cradily. So here I am. I'm using Miracle Powder. Yes, apparently Sceptile is weak to grass because back in this format, the grass type was used to represent poison Pokemon. I guess in the video games. Not a big video game guy, but in the video games you had grass Pokemon weak to poison, and so I'm using Miracle Powder, and I'm trying to decide, if I'm able to get the heads, which here I do. Miracle Powder lets you pick a special condition. So what special condition would I like to afflict him with, right? And if he uses Slashing Strike, then he can knock out my Blossom, or so I think. I didn't read this Stadium card yet, this low pressure system. But it actually gives all grass Pokemon in play plus 10 HP, so my Blossom would actually survive by 10 damage. But I hadn't realized that yet, and so I was like, okay, I should try and buy some time. So from there, he switches into his Dunsparce, and he uses Strike and Run, and he gets some Tricos into play. And this is where I read the low pressure system, and I start thinking about Cradily, and I have a couple oracles in my hand. For anyone who doesn't know what Oracle does, it works like Mallow. You get to search your deck for any 2 cards, and you put them on top of your deck. So I'm like, okay, I can start figuring out, what do I want to do? How do I want to win this game? And I have 2 oracles in my hand, so I can get all the cards that I need in order to set that strategy up. So what I see is, he's got this low pressure system, and if he doesn't play any other stadium cards, then what I can do is I can use Cradily. And if I can set up Cradily, then I can keep dragging up his bench Pokemon one by one, poisoning them, and then when they're 10 HP away from being knocked out, and only hanging on by the HP that low pressure system is giving them, then I can drag up something else. And then once I've done that to enough Pokemon, I can play another stadium card, knock them all out, and then take 4 or 5 prize cards in one turn, right? And then finish them off hopefully with Wailord. So at this point I'm just trying to get my Cradily set up. So I'm gonna play an Oracle this turn, and I'm probably gonna get a Root Fossil and my Lileep, because there's not really anything else I need. I get a Gloom here, turns out. I guess I hadn't quite seen the play yet. But yeah, another Blossom. I do remember that I set up another Blossom in this game. And then I just keep attacking with Miracle Powder. So at this point, I'm still not really sure what his deck is supposed to do. I know generally what Mucky X does, and I think that maybe that's what Grimer's in there for, is to evolve into Mucky X. And I know that Mucky X shuts off all Pokepowers and Pokebodies, and my deck doesn't really rely on Pokepowers and Pokebodies too much, so I'm not super worried about that. One interesting little thing about this deck, though, because Mucky X only shuts powers off when it's active. So if you have the other Sceptile, the Energy Trance one, in play, then you can move your energies to a Muck while it's on the bench, and then later retreat and move it into the active position. But if Muck is already active, you actually can't move your energy around. So, at this point in the game, I think my friend was busy doing something else, and he neglected to realize that it was his turn. So we have a little bit of a delay here, but I think he's back in 15 seconds. And so yeah, really at this point, I'm trying to get another Blossom into play, because I can hit Sceptile for 100 damage with Blossom's attack. And then eventually, long term, I'd like to get a Cradily into play, because with Cradily, I can start using my low pressure system strategy. So I try to use Heal Dance. Turns out you can't do that when Blossom is affected by a special condition. Pretty much every Pokepower in the game turned off when the Pokemon using the Pokepower was affected by a special condition. And so last turn I Oracled for Steven, and then the Gloom. And so I draw the Steven, I draw the Gloom obviously off the Steven, and then the other thing I draw that I'm just thrilled to see is that Root Fossil. So now I can start, employing my Cradily strategy a little bit more, right? And in the meantime, I can use Miracle Powder. He's not really in a position to be doing much of anything, because he can't retreat his Grimer, because for some reason TCG1 makes you switch your Pokemon when you use Strike and Run, even though it's an optional effect on the real card. And so he's just got this Grimer in the active spot. He was dead drawing pretty bad at this point in the game, and so I'm just poisoned. And now I have a second Blossom out, and now I can use Heal Dance, even though my Blossom is affected by a special condition because I have two Blossom. And then here I'm just going to Oracle, I'm going to get my Lileap. Apparently I play a Rare Candy, I did not see that at the time, but I could have bypassed the entire stage of Lileap if I had so pleased. And then I get an ATM Rock. This ends up being kind of a misplay. I had later in the game I decide that I want to switch a little bit more. The ATM Rock doesn't really come in handy. But the ATM Rock, I was thinking like, if Sceptile, obviously, priority 1 is I want to knock it out for 2 prize cards. But worst case scenario, if I can get 90 damage on it, I can just devolve, or 100 damage because of the low pressure system. I can just devolve it, and then that'll be, enough to knock it out and enough to get rid of it, and then it's not doing 100 damage anymore. So and then I just Miracle Powder again. I don't have the Lileap in my hand, so there's not much I can do. And yeah, this time I'm able to paralyze the Grimer, which I guess is a little nice because this way he can't retreat even if he top decks an energy, and he did top deck a TV reporter, so maybe he has an energy, I don't know. And yeah, at this point it's mostly like, can I get my Cradily out? And so he plays a Warp Point here, and I think I send up a Claw Fossil. I'm not really sure what's going on right away. I'm like, did he knock out my Blossom? But no, that's not what happened. He just played a Warp Point. And he's going to send up Sceptile, and he's going to do 40 damage to me and knock out my Claw Fossil. And it's going to do absolutely nothing because Claw Fossils don't give up prize cards. So here he evolves into Mucky X. I get to look at what Mucky X does. I have a general sense of what Mucky X does, but not a card I'm super familiar with. Top deck my Lileap, obviously, because now it's my turn. So I'm gonna, once I realize it's my turn, I'm gonna go ahead and evolve that into the Lileap. And then I think this is the point in the game. I might have attached this to the Lileap. I might have attached it to Blossom. I think I attached it to the Lileap because I thought, this is a more pressing strategy. I need to, start attacking with this Cradily ASAP. And then, yeah, Heal Dance the Blossom. That's the nice thing about Blossom is you can just, heal all your Pokemon. 2004, there are a lot of these games where it's just draw, pass, draw, pass. It's very much, chess match, sort of a situation where nobody can really get the advantage by attacking first. And so if you have a Blossom in that situation, you can just heal your Pokemon as much as you want. And that's what he's doing too. He's just using Green Heal over and over again. And so here, fossils, you can't retreat a fossil, but they offer you the option to just discard them, right? Which obviously sucks because fossils are a finite resource. You run out of them eventually. I think this deck only plays 10. But it is, a means of getting them out of the active Pokemon, and you don't even need to discard any energy to do that. And so that's really nice, and that's something that this deck makes use of a lot of the time. And yeah, then I'm able to send up my Cradily and start attacking his Mucky X. And the plan is, I'm just going to let it sit there for 5 turns, and I'm going to let it collect some damage. And then once it's at 100 damage and it's only hanging on with the 10 HP from low pressure system, I'm going to pull up, a Grimer or a Trico or something like that. And I think that this strategy eventually does not pay off on account of the fact that he draws a Grass Energy and attacks me with Poison Breath. And since Mucky X is active, I can't use Heal Dance. And I kind of want to be able to use Heal Dance in order to protect my Cradily, because if this thing gets knocked out, that's my entire game plan just down the drain. And so I end up dragging something else active in order to reactivate my Poke Powers so that I can start healing that Cradily. But right now, he's just taking damage, and my strategy's working to perfection. So yeah, and then this is just, you know, the boring part of the game where it's just draw pass, and he actually he has a Pokemon nurse here, which kind of a pain in the ass for me, because it just, you know, erased, you know, 3 turns worth of damage, and then he gets his grass energy, and he poison breaths me. So here, you know, I'm in that pickle that I just described. You know, what do I do? How do I want to handle this? Because, you know, Cradily is poisoned, and I can't lose this Cradily. And so, you know, it occurs to me, you know, how about I just drag up? I think I end up dragging up the Grimer with Lure Poison. And then, you know, I'm at 40 damage next turn. I'm still poisoned, but, you know, I'm taking 20 damage per set of turns. You know, by the time it'll get back to my turn, I'll be able to use Heal Dance again. I'll be able to heal 20 damage, and I'll have taken 20 damage, so it's not going to eventually knock me out. And, you know, he just sends up his Grimer, and there's not much that happens here. All right, and for those of you wondering, Blossom's Pokepower does not stack, so I can't use 2 Heal Dance in a turn, unfortunately. So that's kind of a pain in the ass here. But, you know, it is what it is, and 20 damage is usually enough. And then, like I said, I don't want that Grimer to get knocked out too soon, because I want to just play the stadium, have them all get knocked out in one fell swoop, and so I go ahead and pull up a Trico. And, you know, it's going to be taking damage, I'm going to be taking damage, and then healing that damage off with Blossom, and I just want to sit here and wait. And the thing that's pretty cool is he's already used 2 switching cards earlier in the game. He used a switch to, you know, to retreat his Sceptile after I paralyzed it with Blossom. And then he used a switch to, I don't remember what his second switch was used. I think it was a Warp Point, actually. So he's already used 2 of those, so he's going to be pretty much just stuck here, because he can't retreat his Trico, and then he hasn't been drawing Graviles and Sceptiles or energy or anything, you know, with which he could put any pressure on me. So I'm just going to get to sit here for the time being and start powering up my Cradily. This way I can potentially use, what's the other attack called? I believe it's Super Suction Cups. No, Super Suction Cups is the Pokebody. There's an attack for 50 for Grass, Colorless, and then it like heals Cradily. So I'm thinking I could power it up to do that, or I could power it up to retreat and get out of my poison. And then maybe just like attack with Blossom or something for a turn, so that I can find a long-term solution to this this poison that's afflicting me. So yeah, now we're on turn 33 of this game, and, you know, I'm still poisoned. Trico's still poisoned. I don't want Trico to get knocked out quite yet. This one, it would get knocked out going into my turn, which is nice, but I was kind of stubbornly clinging to this low pressure system strategy. And so here I am. I'm going to do something kind of dumb this turn. I'm going to lure poison the other Trico, which, you know, it's not going to be very effective long term, because of Sceptile's first attack, which heals, you know, all the Pokemon with grass energy attached by 40 damage. So right, so like he gets a grass energy on this Trico, he gets his Sceptile active, and all of a sudden that damage that I, you know, worked so hard to achieve, it's just gone. Right, so what I should have done is I should have just passed, let the Trico get knocked out going into my turn. You know, if I'm lucky, maybe he evolves it, and it doesn't get knocked out right away. I don't know why I was so resistant to a knockout. I think it was mostly related to concerns over his bench space. I was, you know, thinking like if he gets a space on the bench, I don't know what could, you know, come out of that. But that's something that could potentially lose me the game. Yeah, at this point, you know, I'm feeling pretty confident, which was pretty stupid of me, because like there's just still a long way to go, right? Like that muck, I gotta knock out the muck. I gotta knock out the 2 mucks basically, and then I got to knock out probably 2 Tricos or a Trico and a Dunsparce, and that'll be good for 6 prize cards. And then, my Cradily is still poisoned, so I can't attack any Mucks right now. I can't drag one of those up because then I'll lose Heal Dance, and so I'm pretty much just stuck going after Tricos, and then I could go after Dunsparce eventually, and then that would be pretty much it. And then I'd have to, play a switch or retreat or somehow make my Cradily not poisoned anymore. So here he evolves into Gravile, and that gives me a little extra time, actually. I kind of like this move, because then I can just poison him again next turn, and it'll get knocked out, going into my turn with the low pressure system in play. And yeah, so I still have a clear path to victory at this point, which I'm pretty happy about. And then you'll see I have these Wailords in my hand, and I'm thinking like, I could evolve that Wailmer. And the reason I don't do that is just because I'm afraid he has something like a Pokemon Reversal, right? And if he has a Pokemon Reversal, and I evolve that Wailmer into Wailord, and he hits it, then he can just hit me for 200 with Sceptile, right? So I figure, the way it works currently, I lose the 4 energy that are on the Wailmer, but I don't lose anything else. Whereas if I were to evolve it, it would give up another prize card, right? And I don't think he actually plays Pokemon Reversal, so who cares? But it's a tech that people saw from time to time in that format. And then here I do make my move. I retreat my Cradily, go into Blossom, and I attack for 50 damage. And so now my Cradily isn't poisoned anymore. I'll be able to put it back to full strength next turn, and I'll be able to keep going with Lure Poison. Right, and so now I'm finding out what Sceptile does for the first time, and I'm like, oh well, this could be bad for me. And then he attaches a boost energy. His plan is he's going to retreat into his Sceptile EX. What he doesn't know is that if you have a boost energy attached, you actually cannot retreat your active Pokemon. So he finds a little clever way around this. He's gonna play a Pokemon Nurse in a second, and discard his own boost energy. Yeah, that's something we were chuckling about. He's like, why can't I retreat? Boost energy doesn't let me retreat. And this was, once upon a time, boost energy was just, 3 energy and then discard it. It worked basically the exact same way that triple acceleration energy works, except the you can't retreat mechanism. Later on, there were more boost energies printed that could not be attached to Pokemon EX. But back in this format, back in 2004, you could attach boost energy to any evolved Pokemon. And so that was a little, thing that changed. And so here he's going to, he's actually going to invest 3 energy into retreating the Sceptile so that he can, start attacking me. I think he went with Tail Wrap. Excuse me. And he flipped 2 tails. So here I'm like, okay, how do I want to deal with this new Pokemon that's out that wasn't here before? It can attack, and then the worst part is it can, it prevents my entire Cradily strategy, kind of, because, whatever I drag up, he's just going to use Energy Trance, and he's going to move all the energy there, and then he's going to be able to attack me, or he's going to be able to, even, like, I could drag up Trico and get a turn out of that. I could drag up Dunsparce and get, a few turns out of that, but after that, what's going to happen? And this is where, Muck's Toxic Gas Pokebody kind of works against him, because, if I drag one of those up, then Energy Trance is shut off. He can't use it anymore. And then I can pretty much just, take my time knocking out those Mucks. I have to hope that he doesn't have a Grass Energy, but beyond that, there's really no limitation, right? But here I opt to just attack him for 50 damage with Blossom. Then he retreats, he's going to go into his Sceptile, and I think this is the first time all game excuse me, he's not going to opt for that strategy. He could have gone with Poison Ring, did 40 damage and poisoned me, but instead he's going to go with a green heal, just heal his Pokemon. You know, it's 2004. It's a war of attrition. It's really just about who can last the longest in this format, right? And so now he's got this Sceptile fully healed, and that scares the Jesus out of me because, you know, what am I supposed to do? If I attack with Wailord, it's going to do 70 damage, which isn't even enough to two-shot him, and then he's going to just knock out me in one hit with Slashing Strike. And this is where Sceptile's grass weakness really comes into play, because, you know, I've got this Blossom, I've got 3 energy on my Blossom, I can just hit him for 100 damage, right, just straight up. And then he can't even knock me out next turn because, I mean, even if he gets like a boost energy and he's able to get a Slashing Strike off, he's got that Stadium in play, right? And so he would have to knock out his own Stadium. And then if he doesn't do that turn, then I can just use Heal Dance, right? And that takes 20 damage away. And so even if he were to draw a Stadium next turn, it still wouldn't be soon enough. And so I hit him for 100 with Solar Beam on Blossom. And at this point, it's, you know, he only has 3 energy in play. He doesn't really have any strong attackers, and so this is where I kind of feel that he played himself out of the game a little bit, because, you know, he used like 2 switching cards earlier on, you know, things that probably didn't, I mean, there wasn't really any urgency to use them. And then, you know, he used 3 energy to retreat his Sceptile. And I mean, I'm not sure how many energy this deck usually plays, but I think like he used a boost energy early in the game. He used an energy to attack me with Grimer and poison me, and then he just used 3 to retreat Sceptile, and then he's got 3 in play. So that's at least 8, right? And so I figure, you know, maybe this deck plays like 10, 11 energy. I'm not totally sure. But yeah, so he gets an Oracle for the first time in the game. We were joking about it. I was like, "Do you even play Oracle?" And he was like, "I don't know. Maybe I play Oracle. I guess we'll find out if I play Oracle." But anyways, he's oh, and then he goes ahead and retreats his Sceptile EX again in order to protect it from, you know, getting hit for 100 damage with Blossom. And he forgot to move an energy onto his Muck EX before retreating, and so now he just, or I think he clicked on the wrong Muck EX is what he told me, and so he just has to pass. And this is where the game starts to kind of, you know, make itself a little bit easier for me, because he's got a Muck EX active. He can't attack with it. He can't retreat it. He's just gonna have to sit there, right? And so at this point, like, I see, oh, well, how about I just knock this thing out with Wailord EX, right? Because he doesn't have 5 energy in play to knock me out with Sceptile in response. And so I retreat my Blossom. I've been retreating, and I've been using a lot of energy to do that. But the thing is that I play that card, Town Volunteers, which you know, I get to shuffle. It's like Brock's Grit from today, except you only get to shuffle 5 back in. And this is an addition that I've made pretty recently to this deck. I didn't play with it for a while, and I found myself just running out of energy every game. And so I was like, okay, for 1 deck space, I can, you know, set it up so that I'm not running out of energy. I think that's a prudent investment. Why don't I do that? So that's what I did. And then here, you know, this is just sort of starting to work like a Wailord deck is supposed to work, right? You do 100 damage, you get attacked, and then you super deep dive and run to the bench and switch yourself into a fossil. And so that's exactly what I do. And from here, you know, if I knock out the Muck EX, which I can do with Wailord, and if I knock out the Sceptile EX, which I can do with Blossom or with Cradily or with pretty much anything, I mean, even a Wailord would knock it out at this point, then that's 6 prize cards and I can win the game. And so, you know, this war of attrition that is the 2004 format, right? You really don't want to be running out of energy in play. you really don't want to be running out of stuff you can do. And there's his last switching card. And so he's gonna go into a Sceptile, and he's gonna, I think, heal his Pokemon with Green Heal here. He's gonna do this whole thing, and he heals his Sceptile, and he leaves an energy on the Gravile so that he can heal that as well. And that may have been a little bit of a misplay. I've been leaving that low pressure system stadium card in play for a while now, but like, I don't have to, right? I can kick that anytime I want. The thing is, like, maybe I don't have one in my hand. And so, that 10 damage on the Mucky X, that could be the difference between getting knocked out in one hit from a Dwindling Wave and not. Or, even if I do have a kick stadium, like, maybe I will, have a damage on my Wailord, because Dwindling Wave, it does less damage if you have damage counters on you already. So maybe, maybe my Wailord's already going to be damaged. And so I think it would have been a more prudent choice to heal the Mucky X, but it ends up being a moot point. I think this is the turn. I have this switch in my hand, and I can also just retreat Cradily manually. I think I used the switch because I just obviously attached the energy. But this is another chance for me to get 2 prize cards, and and take another energy out of play also. And so, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I guess I got my mouse there hovered over the end turn button. So maybe I opted to wait a turn to do that. I don't know, maybe nope, there's the switch. Yep. And then, yeah, just take the 2 prize cards, and now all of a sudden, this has gone from a, oh shit, he knocks out Wailord in 1 hit, what do I do matchup, to, he's only got 2 energy in play, he's got these 2 Mucky X that I can knock out pretty easily, that he has no way to retreat. And so, yeah, that's the advantage of using your energy a little bit more prudently. And so here he's going to promote his Sceptile, he's going to just War of Attrition with me. I think this turn he went with a Poison Ring, actually, so he wasn't trying to heal. And then, yeah, Poison Ring, it prevents you from retreating, and so I was not able to, win the game with Blossom this very turn because I used my switch. But I was able to attach another energy to Blossom. I played down my Fossil, I super deep dived. I think I didn't Heal Dance first because I forgot to. But, it didn't really matter at this point in the game. And then, yeah, from here, he knocks out my Root Fossil, and then I win the game because I can just attack him with Solar Beam for the knockout. Right, and so he kind of realizes this. He's like, okay, I have to Green Heal here. But it's still not looking very good for him because, even if he does, like, 40 and poisons my Blossom, right, I can still heal myself. And so I'm going to be at 40 going into his turn, then 80 next turn, 90 after poison damage, and it's still going to be alive. So I'm going to knock out his Sceptile before he's able to knock out my Blossom. Right, and so I realized this, I realized the math's working out in my favor, and turn 54 begins, I hit him for 120, or I hit him for 100, he's at 120, and then, like, he can heal himself, but so what, right? Like, I'm still going to knock him out. And so I think he retreats here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he retreats here. Because, you might as well try. But at this point, like, I've got 2 attackers fully powered up. I can, pretty much sweep his entire field. The one thing that he can use to heal is something that I can knock out to win the game. And so at this point, I just have to keep putting pressure on. And if he has, like, even if he has a boost energy, he would need a boost energy and a stadium card. And even if he had that, well, no, because like I could still I mean, eventually I'd still be able to knock him out with Wailord, not right away, or I could poison him with my Cradily. And so there's really not much of a strategy for him at this point, right? It's I mean, this is why you don't want to run yourself out of energy, but that's where Cradily comes in clutch, right? Is because Cradily was able to sort of manipulate the board and get him to spend a lot of energy retreating, get him to use his Pokemon nurses, get him to do his stuff. And then he goes for tail wrap here. He actually gets double heads, and he's really excited about that. But I'm still alive because of the stadium card. I heal dance myself, and I think I just keep attacking with the Blossom. And I attach to Cradily just in case I need to go for a Spiral Drain. Oh, I stand corrected. I'm going to attack with Cradily. I think that's a reasonable strategy. And then I Lure Poison, bring up the Sceptile. That's why I did it. I wanted to knock out the Sceptile. And then from there, he can heal himself with Green Heal, but I have an energy in my hand. I can hit him for 100 damage, and that's going to be the game, right? And so, that's how it is. And that's sort of why I love this Cradily tech and this Wailord deck. It's not really very conventional. It's just sort of something like I was looking at my fossils one day, and I was like, hey, fossils can evolve, right? And so I started looking at all the different Armaldos and Cradilies in the format at the time, and I saw this one. I was like, this is actually a really good attacker. There are a lot of cool things that you can do with this card, especially in a format like 2004, right? And like I wouldn't have had a chance in hell against this Sceptile deck without the Cradily. It would have just been Blossom versus Sceptile, right? And I probably would have been able to knock out one Sceptile, but not two Sceptile, right? And so here, I attach my energy and I Spiral Drain, and that's the game. That's all she wrote, right? And then TCG1 was TCG1 you can play 2004. We didn't really want to play 2004, but Untap, the program where you can play pretty much any format, was down, and so that yeah, that's what we did. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this game. It was a fun game to play. We were talking to each other over Zoom the entire time, and we were giggling and laughing and making jokes about all the stupid plays we were making. It was a very enjoyable game, and the 2004 format, it's so weird because like there are just so many little stalemates that happen within the game, and it takes so long to get everything ready. And that's sort of why decks like Magma, decks like Blaziken are good in that format, is because Magma is really fast, comparatively, and then Blaziken you can snipe with, and so you can kind of interrupt the stalemate. But Wailord's pretty good, and Wailord's sort of the ultimate 2004 stalemate deck, and yeah, that's sort of why I like playing it. And it's a very very difficult deck to play against. And there are definitely ways, if you can knock out Wailord in one hit, then that's really cool. But most decks can't, and even the decks that can, like Gardevoir, you get a Gardevoir with enough energy, you can knock out Wailord in one hit. But yeah, that's not too easy, and there are ways that I, as a Wailord player, can play against that with Blossom and with Cradily, and so it's pretty cool. So, anyways, I don't want to ramble too much, but I'll leave you guys here. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, stay tuned for more. If you like this channel, feel free to subscribe. I don't have a lot of content right now, but I am quarantined. I can't leave my room. I can leave my room, but I choose not to. So yeah, I'm probably going to be posting a lot of stuff soon. I don't have my cards with me, but I can post more online games like these. I can post me talking about decks And yeah, so hit subscribe if you're interested in more of this. If you're interested in hearing me, ramble on about all these Pokemon cards from, back when I was like 5 years old. And yeah, stay tuned for more, and thanks for tuning in.